and welcome to this episode of Point Counterpoint. We are here to discuss and deliberate yet another issue of grave concern, an issue of assault and intimidation, an issue of grave criminal acts ostensibly and perpetually committed at the behest of or with the support of the powers that be in a Goa which is getting increasingly caught in the grip of absolute criminalization, supported and aided and abetted by the very forces that are paid by us to protect us and follow the rule of the law, namely the police and the bureaucracy. The issue that has happened in Assagao, and this is something that is known not just all over Goa, but people all over India are talking about this, is a case that happened on the black day of 22nd June 2024 when a particular house, a dwelling in Assagao, was attacked by bulldozers with the purpose of demolishing the house in which there was a family which lived there for almost 24 years. Prinsha and her husband Pradeep Agarwadekar lived there along with their 19-year-old son. One fine day, the bulldozers came, and while they were there, either inside or outside the premises, the building started getting demolished. When they went to the police initially came and tried to stop the demolition, but very soon bouncers and other quote-unquote henchmen came, took the keys of the JCB out of the hands of the police and restarted the JCB and started the demolition, while the man of the house and his 19-year-old son were abducted and taken on a merry ride all throughout Mandre and other coastal beaches before being dumped somewhere in Anjuna, it seems. Anyway, to cut a long story short, the idea that one needs to assess, the point that one needs to assess rather, is that when such a blatant criminal act happens, irrespective of whether that house belonged to the Agarwadekars or whether it belonged to the person whose name is there on the sale deed, namely Pooja Sharma, that's not the point. The point here is that even if illegal occupants of a land need to be evicted from their land, there is a due process of eviction laid down by law which needs to be followed. Now the issue is the Gundaism cannot take over legal formalities and processes that need to do. Here what was happening is there was abject Gundaism happening to throw this Cohen family out and hand over the property to a Delhi buyer. Now we are not even getting into whether the Delhi buyer was the original owner or whether she was the original owner of the property and she needed the property. That fight is a civil fight that should have been fought civilly and got it. We are only sticking to the criminal act. Now, why has the matter blown out of proportion, for which we have one of the finest minds and finest professionals here to discuss this with us, and we will get into it by introducing them very, very shortly. But since then, another development has happened as of yesterday. There was a report in the Times of India stating that the Anjuna PI who got suspended because of his alleged role as a conspirator in the whole situation, and two of his colleagues, wrote a report to the Chief Secretary, a factual report stating, and this is I'm quoting from the TY report, stating that the Director General of Police Jaspal Singh had instructed the Goa police or the DYSP and the PI to help vacate this particular plot on behalf of Pooja Sharma. The report explicitly, the report that is being quoted explicitly spoke about how the DGP made specific calls to the police to ensure that the demolition continues and does not stop. And in that particular report, and which has been quoted, the report goes on to state that on the 24th of June, the DGP calls the PI again and scolds him and shouts at him, and even goes to the extent of telling him, according to that particular report, that what you've done is absolutely wrong. I will, even if I'm posted outside Goa, I will ensure that an NDPS case is filed and you are named as somebody who is running a drug racket along with these perpetrators. These are all points mentioned in that letter of the PI Anjuna as quoted by another paper. But since then, copies of that report unsigned are with literally everybody in Goa right now. Even we have a copy. The crime branch turns around and says, no, we've not received any such report. Though the report has been sent to the Chief Secretary. The Chief Minister is silent on it up to now. The Chief Secretary is silent on it up to now. But this report is in public domain. Nobody has denied the existence of the report. The crime branch, which is not connected with this report, has interestingly said out that we have not received such a report. Anyway, these are so many aspects that we need to go into. I'll first introduce our eminent panelists, people who have been there and done that, very fine professionals, activists, and including we have somebody who's right there in the village and looks after the village affairs, the Sarpanch. I'll just introduce him in a bit. Firstly, on my left is the respected Alex Rasina, retired Superintendent of Police and absolutely known as a no-nonsense officer with a stickler for rules and regarded and respected for his brutal honesty and uprightness. Next to him, we have Hanumant Naik, the Sarpanch of the village Panchayat of Assagao. Hanumant Naik, of course, has been a very close watcher of this entire development. He's been a witness to the whole thing, and he has been with the family. And his inputs are going to be very important to understand what the ground situation really was, because he was literally there when the whole thing happened. Right next to him is Sunil Kautankar. He is the Vice President of the Congress Party. He has also, on behalf of his party, taken up this entire issue and has just addressed a press conference with most of the facts that I have mentioned. He's highlighted and commented on behalf of his party. So, welcome Sunilji for taking time off. Of course, next to him is Roshan Matthias. Roshan, of course, is the director of the Moog Foundation, and he's been a noted activist in those parts, in the very areas where these things are going on, namely in the Calangute constituency and the Shirley constituency. He understands that belt very well, and he will go into aspects which also talks about the trend, this trend that is happening, because this is just a symptom of a larger disease. This is not the disease, and that is important. And last but not the least, another very senior advocate, Joseph Faz. Welcome, sir, for being here. He has been in the profession for decades and decades, handled many cases, understands this the trend of whatever has been going on. He was also the CBI counsel and understands the situation, and his the inputs of a veteran will be very, very important. I will start with Sunil probably because Sunil has just mentioned these issues in a press conference right now. So let us start with a political view, and then we'll get into all the other things that have happened.
See, one very interesting thing is that, as we have been discussing, the issue is not about the ownership of the land or whom the land belongs, because that is something the court has to decide. Nor the political party can decide about it, nor the media can decide about it, nor the contesting parties can decide about it. The court has to decide. Here, the entire issue started as a house of a Goan was demolished without their permission, and when they reached the police, who are supposed to protect them and their rights, were seen to be a part of the entire nexus which was involved in demolishing the house. Now, as the things passed, as the media raked up the issue, as the politicians got involved and the political parties accused the government suddenly gets up of the slumber. The local MLA, who was ignorant of all these things, suddenly comes up at that place, Dilaila Lobo, and she demands justice for the house and the occupants of the house. And then what we see is the action coming. The chief minister comes to the place. The chief minister promises the house to be rebuilt by PWD, which is very surprising because I have never seen any private premises getting demolished or in any controversies or any matters. The government intervening so fast and offering to rebuild a house at the cost of taxpayers' money, which was very shocking, which shows that the chief minister wanted to cover up something. Then comes the next step is the PI, local PI, along with the two PSIs getting suspended, which is, I feel, is okay, because it was their primary role to protect the family, which they have not. Then what we come to know is that the PI was pressurized by the highest officer of the police department, that is the Director General of Police. Now, interesting thing is that this entire incident of demolition took place on 22nd of June. At the same evening, the Director General of Police makes a tweet saying that police are working, teams have already been dispatched, people need not worry. And surprisingly, the report, if we go through, that the PI has submitted to the Chief Secretary who is investigating this entire matter, clearly mentions that on 24th of June, the DGP called the PI and threatened him to help the accused, failing which he threatened the PI to get him entangled in some NDPS matter, which is very shocking, as this has completely cracked into people's faith on the police department. And this is an eye opener wherein we see that a highest ranking officer of the police department, he is a IPS officer, acting as a broker of land mafias and land sharks. And now the ball lies in the court of the chief minister, as he is the home minister also, as we have demanded that the DGP should immediately be relieved of his post. DGP should be placed under suspension immediately, and then the DGP should also be named as an co-accused in the FIR, because his conduct, if you see from the reports that are at hand and the overall circumstantial evidence if we consider, then I feel that DGP looks like the one of the major players in this entire episode. But we are also sure that if suspending the PI gets the name of DGP out, suspending DGP will get the name of the main kingpin or the mastermind behind this entire episode out.
Okay. Hanuma, you can answer it concretely if you want, no problem. But the question is this. Two things. One is, as far as the people who came with the bulldozers, came with the JCBs, they have all been arrested, the bouncers were all there. Why did Prinsha and her lawyer suddenly say that we are going to do a compromise? And suddenly, why did they start giving a clean chit to Pooja Sharma or whoever be the case, and saying she is not completely involved in the matter, and we are giving a clean chit letter? And they I think they withdrew some charges. And secondly, as far as the kidnapping matter also is concerned, they are not pressing that kidnapping matter. So what is the matter?
हे कशें जालें, शेनवारा दीस म्हाका सांजचो मिस्टर प्रदीप अगरवाडेकर आहा, तेजो एक कॉल आयलो. एप्रोक्सिमेटली म्हाका दिसता 5 जातली इवनिंग टायम. आनी हांव त्या टायमाक हांव कोणा वांगडा तरी फोनाचेर उलयतालो. डेट 22 सॅटर्डे. जेन्ना फोनाचेर उलयता हांव पळयतालो ते म्हाका प्रदीप अगरवाड्याक जे कॉल चालू आसले घेवप, लायक हांव 10 मिनिट्स हांव कोणा वांगडा उलोवन जाले उपरांत हांवें परत ताका ट्राय केली, तर नॉट रिचेबल तेजो फोन येवंक लागलो. इतक्यान आमचो म्हजो कलीग, आमचो पंचायतीचो वॉर्ड मेंबर राघोबा कांबळे, तेणेन म्हाका एक फोन केलो. हांवें फोन पिकअप केलो तेजो, आनी तेणें म्हाका सांगलें की आरे कितें जालां, तर प्रदीप अगरवाडेकराचें घर कितें डेमोलिश करता. तर हांवें ताका सांगलें म्हाका जस्ट फोन येतालो, हांव ट्राय करता तेजो फोन लागना. तितक्यान हांवें कितें केलें, हांवें तेजे मिसेसीक फोन केलो, प्रिन्शा अगरवाडेकराक. तेन्ना त्या टायमाक ती पोलीस स्टेशनार आसली. तर म्हाका मागीर तेणें सविस्तर म्हायती सांगली की अशें जाल्लें आहा. आनी हांवें ताका सांगलें तुजे मिस्टर म्हाका फोन करतालो, आतां तुजो फोन कितें जाला, नॉट रिचेबल कित्याक येता. तर तेणेन सांगलें आपणाच्या मिस्टराक बाउन्सरांनी गाडयेन घालून चेड्याक आनी ताका येलो अशें चेडवान आपणाक सांगलां. आनी ते आतां खंय आहा तें आपणाक कळना. तेन्ना तूं मातशें एक काम कर, तूं मातसो सायटीचेर वच. तेन्ना हांव ताबडतोब विदीन 5 मिनिट्स हांव ते सायटीचेर पावलो. सायटीचेर तर पावता पोकलेन थंय आसली, तेजे चेडूं एक आसलें, एक डॉटर आसली, आनी त्या जाग्यार तेजे रिलेटीव आसले. तेन्ना हांवें विचारलें की कितें मॅटर जालो. तर तेंच्यांनी म्हाका सविस्तर म्हायती जशें आमचे सुनील कवठणकरान सांगलां त्या हिशोबान सेम तशें म्हाका सांगलें. तेन्ना मागीर परत तेजे मिसेसीन म्हाका फोन केलो आनी सांगलें की आतां काळोख जाय येयल्लो आहा आनी आमची लायट डिस्कनेक्ट केल्ली आहा तेंच्यांनी, जेसीबीन पोकलेन मारून तेंच्यांनी हें केल्लें आहा, लायट डिस्कनेक्ट केल्ली आहा. मातशें ट्राय कर तूं ते रिकनेक्ट करपाक. तेजे उपरांत हांवें इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जेई मनोज जेईक फोन केलो आनी जेईक हांवें पयलें विचारलें जेईक की तुमी तेचे कितें तुमकां नोटीस वा आयला, लायट तेंचे डिस्कनेक्ट केला कारण तेंचें घर डेमोलिश केल्लें आहा. तर तेणें म्हाका सांगलें अशें आमकां कसलें ऑर्डर ना आनी आमी ती डिस्कनेक्ट करूंकूय ना. तर हांवें ताका रिक्वेस्ट केलो, असो प्रॉब्लम जाल्लो आहा, मॅटर आमी ते मागीर पळोवया कितें आहा डिटेल घेवन. तर आतां सद्या मातशें कोणाक तरी धाडून तूं ती रिकनेक्ट करून दी. विदीन हाफ एन आवर तेणें म्हाका ती रिकनेक्ट करून दिली, जेईन करून दिली. तेच्या उपरांत आमी घरा कडेन गेले, म्हाका मातशें काम आसलें, हांव घरा लागीं गेलो, परत हांव आयलो तेन्ना तेचे मिसेसीन म्हाका फोन करून सांगले, ना हांवें ताका फोन केलो की आतां तुमी खंय आहात, तर तेणी सांगलें आमी पुलिशेन आहा. तेन्ना तूं एक काम कर, मिस्टर तुका म्हटलें मेळ्ळो हें जालो, हांव ट्राय करता लागना. तर तेणी सांगलें मिस्टर आयलो, फोन केला मिस्टरान, अजून घरा कडेन पावना, कोणीन तरी ताका अंजुना हाडून उडयला, चेड्याक आनी आपणाच्या मिस्टराक. आतां आमची फॅमिली थंय वचपाक आहा ताका कलेक्ट करपाक. हो जालो ते रातीचो पार्ट. तरी हांवें ताका सांगलें कितें गरज बी आहा नाल्यार म्हाका सांग, हांव हेल्प करतलो म्हणून. नेक्स्ट डे म्हाका आमची MLA डिलायला लोबो शिवोलेम कॉन्स्टिट्युएन्सी तिणेन फोन मारलो आनी म्हाका सांगलें की आमी सकाळी 10 सुमार सायटीचेर मातशें चवकशी घेवपाक या, तिची खबर घेवपाक, अगरवाडेकर फॅमिली. तेचे उपरांत आमी थंयसर येयले, हांव येयलो, आमचे पंचायत मेंबर येयले, MLA आयली आनी तेन्ना तेचे फॅमिलीन तिका डिटेलीन सांगलें प्रिन्स अगरवाडेकराक, मॅडम अशें अशें जालें, पुलीस आमकां कॅर करिना. एकदां आमचे JCB घालपाक येयले, आमी पुलिसाक कॉल आउट केलो, पुलीस आयले, JCB बंद केले, JCBची चावी घेतली, JCB ट्रकाचेर लोड केली आनी JCB गेली, चावी घेवन गेले पुलिशेन पावता म्हणसर परत तीच JCB रिटर्न आयली आनी सेकंड टायम घर मोडपाक स्टार्ट केलें. तेन्ना तेच्या डॉटरीन ताका सांगलें की सेकंड टायम आपलें घर मोडपाक येता. तेचे उपरांत तेजे सगळे फॅमिली आयले आनी त्या JCB जे पळय सेकंड टायम मोडटाले ताका JCB बंद केली. तितक्यान ते मॅटर मोडपाचें स्टॉप जालें. ही सगळी डिटेल MLAक सांगली. MLA, आमी, तेचे रिलेटीव प्रिन्शा अगरवाडेकर, प्रदीप अगरवाडेकर आनी तिचे फॅमिलीक घेवन आमी अंजुना पुलीस स्टेशनार गेले. थंयसर PI प्रशल देसाय नसलो, आमचो संकेत आसलो पोखरे, PSI आसलो. ताका मॅडमीन क्वेश्चन केलें की अशें अशें मॅटर जालें ना, तुमी कितें करतले, तुमी तेजेर FIR फायल केला काय करूं ना. तर तेणेन सांगलें की मॅडम आमी आतांच ताका लेटर धाडलेलें आहा, आमचो PC गेल्लो आहा आनी ते लेटराचेर मेन्शन केल्लें आसलें की तुमचे रिलिवंट डॉक्युमेंट आहा ते तुमी हेतून प्रोड्यूस कर. तर हांवें क्वेश्चन केलो, डॉक्युमेंट प्रोड्यूस कर म्हणपाक, कारण तेंचे इलिगल हावस डेमोलिश केल्ले आहा, तेचेर पयलीं इन्क्वायरी जावपाक जाय, डॉक्युमेंट मागीर पळोवया. सेकंड सांगलें तांकां की तांकां किडनॅप केल्ले आहा, तेचेर FIR फायल जावपाक जाय. तेन्ना मॅडमीन,
then why did the compromise happen? Ultimately, after all this, what is shocking is the compromise. Why is she holding a press conference and saying, I want to compromise?
येस, कॉम्प्रोमायज आतां जालें, परच्या दिसा जालें, बिफोर 2 days. आमी सरप्रायज जाले जेन्ना थंय वचून आमी आवाज केलो, MLAन केलो, पंचायतीच्या मेंबरान केलो, लोकांनी जेन्ना पुलिशेन आवाज केलो तर तेणीन प्रॉमीस केलें की आपूण FIR फायल करता. हे जाले उपरांत सगळे गांवभर लोकांचो ताका सपोर्ट आसलो, ऑपोजिशनान सपोर्ट केलो, सगळे जाण सायटीचेर आयले, सबंद गोंयभर लोक थंयसर येवन तिका हेल्प करपाक आयलो. आनी निमाणें CM थंय पावलो आनी CMन प्रॉमीस केलें की आपूण तें घर रिपेर करून दिता, तेजो जो कॉस्ट आसतलो तो बॉर्न बाय पूजा शर्मा. अशें जाले उपरांत नेक्स्ट डे PWD ऑफिसर येयले. MLAन म्हाकाय फोन केलो, 2:30 PWD जो एक्झिक्युटीव इंजिनियर थंय आयलो आनी तेणें इन्स्पेक्शन चालू केलें, कॉन्ट्रॅक्टर आयलो. आनी नेक्स्ट डे आमकां अशें आयकपाक येयलें की प्रिन्शा अगरवाडेकरान एक स्टेटमेंट पास केलो की आमी ते कॉम्प्रोमायज करता.
Correct. So we'll delve into that. Mr. Eskina, I'll bring you in here. See, you've heard the basic nature of the case. What I wanted to ask you is that in a matter like this, when there is a dispute over a particular property, and suppose there is a demolition that is needed to be done, what are the rules and regulations that need to be followed for a legal authorized demolition to take place? And do you consider this legal and authorized?
Any demolition has to be done legally. Here they want to do illegally.
According to you, what are the steps that need to be taken for a legal demolition?
For legal demolition, they have to approach the concerned authority, that is the deputy collector or the magistrate,
Right.
where the FIR has been sent.
Right.
This.
Right.
Whereas it is now seen that this fellow wanted to do a shortcut and do the demolition with Dadagiri and see if it succeeds. Here it did not succeed.
But the point here is that also the police at this point of time, the Anjuna police, and we now kind of know why they were compelled to do it, but on the face of it, they did not stop the bulldozers from demolishing the house. Initially they went, after that their hands were completely tied. The point here is that what should the police ideally have done? ideally, shouldn't they have effected arrests of those people who are demolishing right on the spot?
The police, the
Yeah.
primary duty of the police was to arrest the fellows who are involved in this act,
Right away.
which
Yes.
they have failed to do
Right.
because of ulterior motive, which looks like now. And
Okay, Roshan. I mean, looking at this case as the base, what really do you think played out, and what are the self-interest that could have played out? Because it is what has shocked a lot of people in Goa and many people in Goa is the blatant manner in which the whole exercise was carried out, as if our law and order machinery was in the pocket of people who are controlling the JCBs, or in the pockets of bouncers, and ultimately in the larger pockets of those who are controlling these people. Because the whole, the visual image, the optics of some person who's a bouncer or a heavyweight or a bahubali, or what as they call in UP, coming to the spot, and this is according to the report sent by the PI, where himself says, where this particular guy Ashfaq, or whatever his name is, he comes to the police station and says, look, do not stop the demolition. I've got orders from the top. I need the keys and I'll start the demolition. This particular report of the PI also states that the excavator driver, poor fellow, okay, he gets a little scared and he tells the Ashfaq, whoever the other guy is, that look, do not. The thing is, I will not go and do this demolition. Apparently, that other team stops the excavator, tells him that, look, I'm ordering you. You go and do it. I'll take care of any impediments, so on and so forth. Irrespective of the names and people, and that the investigations will say who's wrong and who's right. But the whole act of non-state actors taking over the entire theatre of demolition, with the police becoming absolutely hapless, silent spectators who are either hapless or completely conniving. Now, this is a larger issue. It's not just about the Agarwadekars' demolition of the house. It's a larger issue of the complete collapse of the entire law and order system, which has led to the confidence that is there in people like this to completely take over and do what they want.
Absolutely. I would like to make myself clear first that even if I take names, unfortunately those names are because they have been seen in the reports or in the TVs, etc. But I have nothing personal against them. But unfortunately, since there is a crime scene, everyone has to be investigated. Who is good and who is bad is to be decided by the courts later.
Yeah.
And they can defend themselves if they are not the wrong persons there. This nexus, I am not surprised. Honestly, I'm not surprised, but I'm happy that it has happened for the reason that as activists, we have been highlighting these issues from many years. It is not a today's issue. Like the latest one that I spoke about the other day in your own Herald News is about the house that was demolished also in Kandalin. It was a ditto situation wherein a builder came from Delhi, bought a tenanted property. He made sure that he got the rest of the family excluded from the family who's living there now. This is the Naik family in Kandalin. And the bouncers took over the entire property. There were swords fights over there, for which that entire family is still fighting a criminal case. I have stood there as surety for them. But in this nexus, now I will start bringing in people. First thing that I would bring in is the MLA of that place, who is still an MLA now, and at that time also he was an MLA, is Michael Lobo. How did he handle the situation at that time? He in fact told the family, instead of going through all this trouble, that hotel will employ your, the sons and daughters of that house. It is a one-time opportunity where he's willing to pay a price and take the entire thing, and to take that and shift them in another place. And when you see the remaining family, the joint family was split. Some of them chose not to go through this trouble and they went to Pilan and they were shifted there, etc. Only this one family has remained, which is Pooja Naik, is the youth girl there, and her family is there. Michael Lobo offered this there. At that point of time, why didn't he behave the way he's behaving now? And honestly speaking, he's not saying anything, his wife is speaking. Actually, he's the mastermind behind all this. Second thing is the police. The police, when they come, we as Goans, as locals, we know that the person who will protect us in a time of trouble, the immediate response that we want to get from is the police. the police straight away tell us we cannot help because it's a civil matter. But the funny thing is, when the opposite party, they engage bouncers, which is an illegal thing to do.
Right.
When they trespass our property, that is again trespassing, which is a criminal thing. The police don't take thing of that, and they protect those people. Then they ask them, and Michael Lobo has his own set of legal team who frames the complaints for the offenders actually, and those things are slapped on our goans. The cases that are filed on our goans is because of this nexus. Then the police listen to everything that the MLA tells. The number of phone calls, you will see the PI getting up from his chair and going out saying, "Master, ek phone call ela." So this is not the way a crime is dealt with. Now, when I bring that entire situation to Assagao, today we have a situation which is a world shocker. I wouldn't say it's only Goa, it's gone all over the world. People are talking about it. When you have such a crime scene, what is that crime scene treated as today? If we all decide now after this this debate to go there and visit the place, we can.
It is not sanitized, it is not blocked, nothing.
Nothing has happened there. Who is coming, who is going, who is destroying evidence, who is going to come and even finish that family who's even there? Who is doing all this? And what is the protection given by the state? This shows a complete failure of law and order in the system. Who is managing this is the CM. We cannot go far. Now, when you look at this bouncer system, this new thing of bouncers is not a new thing. In that case in Kandalim, it happened. When I go for inspections to sites, it happens. There are bouncers there. I know so many families whom I tried helping with the SIT issue.
Right.
And when that issue happened, when the owner who was abroad came and saw his property, I encouraged them to go to the property. I told them to apply for police permission when going there. The police didn't encourage that. Nor did they entertain their complaints. Even at the SP's level, complaints have made. The SP has not taken cognizance of these kind of complaints, and he has told the person, you go and see if there is a problem, you come back. When the person reached the property, there are 12 bouncers sitting with swords over there with a gate closed. When he opened, he got a shock and he has left the property and fled back to USA. So I have cases like this. So these bouncers thing is not different. Now one person I would like to bring in this and drag, though today he's in the opposition and he seems to be a very good person and he speaks for us today in the assembly. Unfortunately, he is Vijay Sardesai. If you look back at some years back, the SGPDA, when they were doing the ODP planning, there were bouncers used at the Matani Saldana complex, if you remember. So now I brought Vijay because he is also part of this news. I don't want to bring him or say he's bad, but this bouncer thing has been used officially also in the system, not only unofficially. There were bouncers in that SGPDA meeting. If you remember, it had come in the papers and everything. So these bouncers, who are these bouncers? They are actually people who are having criminal records of the past. I'm not saying all of them. There are some who are doing good job.
Right.
They are offenders. They have started because they have the body and the build and they want the money. So they are engaged by these people. So this has become a total nexus. The next one who needs to be dragged in is definitely Delilah. Delilah is the MLA of the place. Now, she as a person who is an MLA there, she definitely has visited this particular family for their votes. Hasn't she sat and understood the plight of this family? Now, we don't want to bring in the legality of that house and who these people are there and who is Pooja Sharma. I don't want to bring the legal part. But doesn't she know her constituents? Was it only limited to the votes that she wanted there? She should have interfered because this is not a today story from what I'm gathering. This is many year story. The property is not sold recently. The property was sold somewhere in 2013 if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I'll just go to Dr. Vaz and then I'll ask Hanuman Bab to respond to some of the points that Roshan has just made. Dr. Vaz, see, you have heard the situation. You have watched it very closely. The state itself. This must be a very new Goa compared to what the Goa that you've grown up in. But having seen all this from a completely legal standpoint, what should be done right now? Which way should the investigation go? And what can the legal steps be taken to stop this?
Mr. Sujay, do you expect the investigation by crime branch to be fair when Director General of Police sitting on top?
Right.
First thing, he should have been relieved right immediately. He cannot be suspended because he belongs to central government. And if the double engine Sarkar is really working, then they can do immediately.
Right.
If that. Now, admittedly, he is mastermind in this. And what is I'm shocked is that he trying to fix the PI and DPS codes.
Hmm.
Because when I was CBI counsel, such fixing was done,
In what manner?
by which implicating innocent people in a drug cases.
That was done.
By the
by-
Goa police, yes, and the case was running. And this particular sub-inspector still not suspended.
Right, right, right.
And I am not surprised if the Director General of Police can threaten his own PI of fixing in drugs case. This man has no character. I am sorry to say this. He should not remain in Goa. He is not fit to be in the police. So this investigation will not go very far with this man sitting there. First thing, relieve him, because you can't suspend him. And the central government has to, the Goa state government has to write to them. Second is, the investigation has to be much broader way. Now somebody approached the family for settlement. Case is serious, kidnapping, then housebreaking and all that. Who is the person? The man should be roped in who approached. This is not a case that is to be settled like as if nothing has happened.
Because the people who came with the JCBs are just agents. They are
Agents,
executors.
yeah, right.
Right.
And the other one which the crime branch should investigate, if they are independent, is that has this particular husband of this lady who purchased, because under the central service rules, you have to inform the central government that you have purchased the plot.
Right.
Has that been done? From where the money came? All that has to be investigated. Now, I am very skeptical about this investigation with Director General sitting there.
Right. Right.
And Mr. Suraj, don't forget, the next day of the crime, this Director General gives a statement. Have faith in Goa police. Your paper published, Times of India published, have faith in the Goa police. This is a state actor.
Right.
It's a most dishonest man in the state of Goa. It is not the thing, why many of these penalties have spoken about this type of eviction. Mr. Rashkinya was there when it is happening for a long time. The government never acted. When I took a case of a widow, which she had no money, I took a case, I got an injunction. You remember that case? Then my house was stolen at midnight, being a lawyer.
Your house was stolen. huh?
And they thought that I will leave the case. I fought it and I restored the property. Viaga's case. Okay, Mr. Rashkinya was a big help. He smashed all those guys, and including Bosco George was there to help me.
Right.
I'm reminding you this. This has been happening all age-wise. Now what happened? We took it lightly. So this has become like a professional, to get boxers, to get bouncers, and this and that.
Right.
But my thing is first relieve the IG, the Director General, is first to be a fair investigation. Relieve him.
Correct.
And otherwise there is no hope in this investigation.
I will intervene in
Yes.
1 minute. Now what happened, if I go to see now the present police force of Goa police is completely politicalized.
Yeah, I agree.
Completely politicalized. They are at the fences of the ruling MLAs and their chamchas. Their posting is done by them.
You see, the politician can interfere in the police. Suppose they are not doing duty. This interference is not to do duty. That is a shocking.
Correct.
I agree the politician should interfere because the police are not doing duty. This is to say that please don't do that. Let the crime go on. And this especially now, I hope the Chief Minister is on record saying that, look, I am to take serious action. I believe that he is going to do it. First thing, relieve your senior most police officer. The junior PI, sub-inspectors have been suspended.
Actually, if you go to see the Times of India report, it is DGP should be made a culprit in this thing.
Correct.
Accused for abatement under 109 IPC. He should be made, and the statement of this PI should be recorded under 164 CRPC.
So what you're saying is that irrespective of whether the PI has signed the report, not signed the report, let's not get into this.
That is different.
Since this is in public domain, he should be called and his statement recorded under 164.
First
Correct.
of all, you can see one pattern over here. There you now only you can infer what will be the outcome of the crime branch investigation. Now the PI has made this statement before the chief secretary.
Right.
He has not made this statement before the SP crime.
Right.
But SP crime goes out of the way and makes a public statement that it is an unverified, non-signed report. This shows that the SP crime right now wants to please his boss DGP, and that
That's
is the whole reason why we demanded earlier in the day that the chief minister should immediately relieve Mr. Jaspal Singh from his position as the DGP if the investigation needs to go in the right direction. Otherwise, it is like Alibaba in Chalis Chor. Ultimately, the head of the robbers is the one who will be investigating.
Correct.
Now, besides
Actually, he has brought
relieving,
disgrace to the police force now.
Police force.
Completely.
besides
Absolutely.
relieving DGP from his duties, right now it's a crime situation.
Yes,
There
it
are
should be.
statements made.
Yeah.
His phone should be confiscated. His even the family, their phone should be tapped right now, because how do we know while sitting here how many threats they are getting?
Right. Right.
Everything should be tapped. If they want to do a fair investigation, this is how investigation goes on. They are treating it like two brothers have fought in the house. The way they are treating it is like that. This is not that. This is bigger.
Correct.
Every second is costing Goa and Goans, and our name is getting spoiled by the second, just because we have irresponsible people sitting in the authorities over here. So that investigation has to go thorough. Like I said, seal the entire place. Who is coming in, who is going out, tap all the phones, take DGP's phone right now. Communication has been made to the PI, right? There is some mode of communication. What was it? Phone call? Take the phone. Others, they'll say there was no evidence, everything will be destroyed. Then who's going to sit and file and try to unearth these things? It cannot. It has to be done today, now. So this is the failure of the CM also.
Anuma, but now there are reports that somebody came 2 days ago on behalf of Pooja Sharma and met Prinsha and the family and the lawyers and had a discussion with them. Can you tell us a little bit about this? Is it true?
2 दिसा पयलीं सारकें आहा. रिपोर्टरान पब्लिशूय केल्ले आहा ते, मिडियानूय पब्लिश केल्ले आहा. 2 दीस पयलीं म्हाका दिसता आफ्टर 8:30 अशी आमकां मॅसेज आयली. म्हाका स्वता रिपोर्टरान फोन केलो, हनुमंत तूं सरपंच आसल्या कारणान तूं कितके फावटी हांगा एप्रोच जालें, ते फॅमिलीक हेल्प करपाक तूं कितके फावटी एप्रोच जालें, तुका कितको तेंचेर ट्रस्ट आहा. हांवें म्हटलें खरीच रिस्पेक्टेड फॅमिली आहा ती, गरीब फॅमिली आहा, म्हणून हांवेंनूय तांकां सपोर्ट करपाचो ट्राय केलो. तर तुका आतांचे एट प्रेझेंट सिच्युएशन खबर आहा. हांव मातसो भायर आसलो, हांवें सांगलें ना तर ती केस आतां फाटीं घेवपाक आहा म्हणून सांगलें. मागीर ताका हांवें विचारलें की कित्याक लागून ही फाटीं घेता. तेणें सांगलें आपणा कडेन स्टेटमेंट तेणें केलो की आपूण ही केस फाटीं घेता. पुजा शर्माचो कोण तरी एक एजंट आयलो, कोण कुमार म्हणून, कुमार, आनी तेणें सांगलें की हे जे पळय मॅटर आहा तेन्ना तुका आमी हेल्प करता, तुजें आमी घर सगळें बांदून दिता, सेल्डीड आहा ते कॅन्सल करता.
Who is Kumar? Nobody knows.
कोणाकूच खबर ना. ती म्हणटा तेजो रिप्रेझेंटेटीव.
Then मागीर
तेचे उपरांत दुसरे दीस आमी एक प्रेस कॉन्फरन्स कालूय आमी घेतली. आमी क्लेरिफिकेशन दिलें सबंद गोंयभर की जे गोंयभर लोक ताका हेल्प करपाक आयिल्ले, आयज सिच्युएशन दुसरेच भशेन जाल्लें आहा आनी ती सांगपाकूय रेडी ना. एक्चुअल फॅक्ट कितें आहा पळय ते म्हाजें तरी मन अशें सांगता की तेंचेर कोणाचो तरी प्रेशर आहा म्हणून हे सगळी ती करता. आनी एक दुसरें घर बांदून पुजा शर्मान दिता म्हणून सांगलें. CMन प्रॉमीस केल्लें आपुणूय घर बांदून दिता. तर पुजा शर्माचें हें कित्याक आयकोपाक जाय आसलें हेंच्यांनी. आनी तशेंच तेंच्यांनी आमकां पयलीं सांगलेलें, नेक्स्ट 3rd डे सांगलेलें की तांकां एक प्रपोजल आयिल्लो थ्रू रिलेटिवा कडसून, एक प्रपोजल आयिल्लो की 300 स्क्वेअर मिटर तुमकां लँड दिता आनी तेतून एक घर बांदून दिता. एक्झॅक्ट तेच लँड, टोटल लँड आसली तेंची 600 स्क्वेअर मिटर, तेच लँडान तांकां घर बांदून दिता काय सेपरेट दिता ते तेणी म्हाका क्लेरिफिकेशन दिवंक ना. तेन्ना तेज्या रिलेटिवाक हांवें विचारलें की तुजें हेचेर कितें आहा इंटेन्शन, तुवें ताका कितें आन्सर दिलें. तेणी म्हाका सांगलें राती म्हाका फोन आयिल्लो म्हणून, मॉर्निंग टायम सांगलें म्हाका तेणी. तर तेणी म्हाका सरळ सांगलें की तूं एज ए सरपंच आमच्या वांगडा इतको फुड्यान रावलय, MLA रावली, प्रेस आमच्या वांगडा रावले, मिडिया आमच्या वांगडा रावली, सबंद गोंयभर लोक आमच्या वांगडा रावले. जो पर्यंत आपूण तांकां हें सांगिना तो पर्यंत आपूण हें डिसिजन घेवचो ना. म्हणल्यार आमी आतां 2 दीस पयलीं आयकोन जाणा की विदावट कोणाचेंच सजेशन घेवच्या पयलीं तेंच्यांनी डायरेक्ट डिसिजन घेतलें.
No suggestion, no meeting, no
No.
consultation.
No.
Okay. Sunil, how do you react to that? I'll ask both you and Roshan to react to what he just said.
ना हांव एक सादी गजाल सांगता. म्हाका दिसता तो सरपंच बाबान जें कितें सांगलां तो ताणें फॅक्ट सिट्युएशन सांगलां कितें आसा तें. पण ती जी फॅमिली आसा ती गरीब फॅमिली, हांव तांकांय ब्लेम करना. आज जर ओवरऑल तांच्यांनी परिस्थिती पळयत गोंयांत कितें आसा ती, तांकां एंड आनी अल्टिमेट कितें जातलें तें तांकांय खबर आसा. लास्टाक कोण ना कोण तें सेटींग करतले. आनी तें सरपंच बाबान सांगलें तशें सीएमानी ऑफर दिल्ली बांदपाची, कोण ती पुजा शर्मा म्हणटा तिणें ऑफर दिल्या बांदपाची. सो सीएमाची आनी पुजा शर्माच्या कॉम्पिटिशनान पुजा शर्मा जिखली थंय. दॅट इज बिकॉज द कॉमन मॅन हॅज मोर फेथ इन पीपल लायक पुजा शर्मा देन द चीफ मिनिस्टर ऑफ द स्टेट. बिकॉज तांकां खबर आसा की हे सगळे जाण पयशे करपाक आयले. रोशन बाबान सांगलेले प्रमाणे जेन्ना कानोळे एक इन्सिडेंट जाल्लो आनी हाऊस डेमोलिशन जाल्लें, मायकल लोबो वॉज द नेगोशिएटर ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ सम बिल्डर लॉबी आनी तांकां ते सेटलमेंट मायकल लोबोन केल्लो. तर तांकां ते फॅमिली मेंबरांक खबर आसतलें अल्टिमेटली मायकल लोबोज आनी दिलायला लोबोचो जर तुमी कंडक्ट आनी कॅरेक्टर, पॉलिटिकल कॅरेक्टर म्हणटा, आय विल नॉट टॉक ऑन पर्सनल कॅरेक्टर कोणाचो, पॉलिटिकल तांचो कंडक्ट आनी पॉलिटिकल कॅरियर जर तांचो पळयत, इट इज ऑल अबाउट सेटिंग एन कॉम्प्रोमायज एन बिट्रेयल. तांकां काँग्रेसीच्या टिकेटीचेर लोकांनी जिखून दिले पयशा खातीर आनी आपल्यो केसी सेटल करपा खातीर तो बीजेपीन गेलो. सो इट इज सेटलमेंट. सो ते फॅमिलीन मे बी दिलायला लोबोक ताणें एक आपली आयडल म्हणून पयला आसतलें आनी तांचे कडल्यान सेटींग करपाचें इन्स्पिरेशन घेतलें ताणें. मायकल लोबोन आनी दिलायला लोबोन सेटींग करून पयशे घेवचे परस दॅट फॅमिली प्रिफर्ड that they will themselves take the money and settle the matter, then allow Chief Minister Michael Lobo and Dilala Lobo to settle on their behalf. That is what has happened over here, nothing else.
Sushan, see, Prinsha, of course, officially she has completely denied. She's saying that if anybody is accusing me of taking money, please give evidence before making such allegations against me. But what do you make of this specific situation that has unfolded there, whereby a supposed agent of the purported Pooja Sharma comes to meet this particular family and has a discussion with them and even offers to rebuild the house in their favor. Now, I see two discrepancies here. The first discrepancy is that why was an agent like that entertained when there is a criminal investigation going on? Point number one. Okay, we understand that they are a vulnerable, poor family. They were not aware, but they accepted this visit of this particular agent. I find this as a discrepancy which I have not been able to come to terms with. The second point here is that at the end of the day, this whole deal of rebuilding itself is also surprising, because if one person is the owner of the house and feels that they are the legit owners, why will they rebuild the house of somebody who's not the owner of the house? Will I rebuild a house for somebody who's not authorized to stay in the house to stay? So that brings into question the legitimacy of the sale deed and other aspects that the law will decide, and so on and so forth. But how do you make of these two discrepancies that I just mentioned?
See, one thing that you can make out in this is now we, as I would call ourselves, yes, we are activists and we are professionals in our own field, but we, being of such caliber, are today talking of things that the CBI should have spoken about.
Right.
Why isn't Pooja Sharma been arrested till today? Why is she, being the rightful and legal owner of that thing by the way of a sale deed, why isn't she here today? Why isn't she being questioned? Now again comes the question whether that Kumar really exists and whether he's which Kumar we really don't know. There again is a failure of the department. This is a crime branch case. People should be interrogated who's entering that place and who's going out from there. As I said earlier, phone call should be tapped at this moment, not being done. So it is a failure of the department. Now when you look, you rightfully said, when the property is mine, and even Agarwadekar, the Mrs., she said that the Pooja Sharma is not aware of our existence in the place. Okay, when Pooja Sharma doesn't know anyone who's existing, but she knows that she's the legal owner of this property which she has bought recently, why is she building it and giving it back? This comes to the conclusion, the connection is that somebody is telling also Pooja what to do in this entire situation.
Right.
So I will slightly add to it.
Yes.
There is slightly more to this angle to this. This immediate intervention of the Chief Minister and offering to build a house at the cost of taxpayers' money through PWD. Then Pooja Sharma's agent coming and offering to build the house of the people who, as per the sale deed, the property belongs to Pooja Sharma, is only as this entire matter has gained attention and the money that is involved is coming from a laundered source of money. So it's a money laundering thing and nobody wants attention to it. and that is the reason why they are eager to close this off. And there is lot of money laundering happening, lot of black money is getting and coming and getting invested in Goa of lot of bureaucrats, lot of big politicians across the country, and this is one of a tip of the iceberg that has come up. And this Pooja Sharma matter is nothing else as it goes further, and if it is the source of money is found out, everything is found out, I am confident that the actual thing from where this money is coming, whether it is coming from Mumbai or where, will be made to understand to the people.
Another thing is the CM. Today you see we are having such a serious discussion here.
Right.
But if you look at the video where the CM has said that, I will arrest this one, I will arrest that one. You just look at that video. Believe me, I wanted to shut that video at that time because such a serious case and the guy is smiling on the TV. Just look at CM's reaction there. He's smiling at the thing and saying, I will arrest everybody, I will bring everybody in the jail. This is not the attitude. This only shows that he's doing a mock show on that reporting that he's doing. He's not taken serious. There is definitely a bigger story at the back, and they are putting up their mask and showing us as public. So CM is seriously protecting somebody in this entire thing. It's too early to say whom and how, but things are being revealed as as
Dr. Vaz, according to you, what are the steps that need to be taken to restore some confidence amongst the people with regard to this case and generally as well?
See, I agree with Mr. Kauntankar. He has said correctly. There is a big fish in this matter.
Okay.
Very, very big fish.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And this big fish does not want to be exposed.
Right.
And that is the reason Pooja Sharma comes for settlement.
Right.
If the investigation goes in the right directions,
Right.
what will come out
Right.
is like a volcano.
And nobody wants to see that.
And nobody wants to see the volcano erupting. Right? Including, according to me, I respect the Chief Minister.
Right.
But you should not dramatize everything. I find every time you dramatize, he thinks the people of Goa are totally insane.
Right. No, but the point is, so right now, what do you recommend? Because if there is very little faith in the current investigation by the crime branch, as our panelists have said, what is the course correction? Do we need a judicial inquiry? Do we need a inquiry by a retired High Court judge to look into it? What should be or should the whole investigation be court monitored? What should be the...
It should be an investigation monitored by the court.
Right.
Because the things have got out of hand, especially when Director General of Police, head
That's
of the
correct.
police is involved.
Right.
There is no other way. You can't trust the Department of Police anymore.
Right.
I have a lot of friends in the police,
Right.
but I feel sorry to say this, but I can't help it. Because the police has lost faith in Goa. So many crimes, you see, your paper is reporting, your TV is reporting. There should be, when we go to the police, we must go with faith. But nobody goes with faith. And today's incident, which we are discussing here, it is really destroyed the image of Goa police. They have no image.
Now, secondly, they have said now this investigation is done by crime branch. What is the difference by doing police station investigation and crime branch? There is no difference. It is one and the same police force.
And the top DGP is sitting.
Same DGP. the
Same
top of
DGP.
it.
Well, the DGP is the head of the crime branch as much
Also,
as he
I
is the head
said,
of
what do you
investigation.
expect from
There's no
them?
difference.
So,
First, that's why we are saying he should be
unless-
relieved first.
Yes,
He should be
correct.
relieved immediately.
yeah, I'll just do the last round and take some closing comments from all of you. Roshan, your closing comments and the way forward.
The way forward is there should be immediate action from the crime branch. First is DGP should be removed from his duties right now, relieved. He should be taken into custody. Besides that, every evidence that is available right now, that is the phones, the property should be sealed. All this has to happen from the crime branch side. Besides that, that would take care of the investigation. The investigation cannot happen only with the crime branch. It should happen with the court intervention. It cannot be watered down to anything else. Second thing, if you look in the long run, something has to be done about these bouncers. How you engage bouncers, who should engage bouncers, how many bouncers you should engage. There should be a law on this. Okay, we are not saying don't have bouncers. There are need to have bouncers. Okay, they have a particular job in the society. They are required. But how many can you? For a small house, you don't need 20 bouncers standing there. So it creates a public nuisance. Okay. The third thing is what I've been asking. If you see this situation, there was a JCB involved, and as you rightly pointed out, the driver himself was emotionally trying to go back and say don't break the house because he understood, but there were orders. My point is, every time a JCB has to do his work, he has to be authorized for that particular work. A JCB cannot go and do any demolition because the work is done so fast and irreversible. So say you want to cut a hill, you have a permission, get that permission for that particular hill you want to cut, that particular JCB number, the day he is going to come there, everybody should know. Because once that job is done, you cannot reverse it. Like this house, if
Right.
the Mamledar knew and he has given a permission, yes, we have checked that he is officially allowed to demolish this house, go ahead.
Correct.
But you cannot reverse it today.
Correct. Sunil, your last closing remarks.
Now, if we are going anywhere ahead from this, the first step should be relieving of the DGP, naming him in the FIR, investigating him, and placing him under suspension. I believe the government has power with the approval of the MHA. And then what is to be seen is that whether this money which is coming to Goa and the huge amount of property in bulk that is being brought by people from Delhi and NCR, whether this money is coming from clean sources or is it money laundering that's going on, because suddenly we are seeing a severe spike in the rate of the lands. Sarpanch Bab will tell the land rates about 1.5 year back, which was in the range of almost 10-15,000 per square meter, has today shot up above 1 lakh rupees in their area. So this is alarming state of affairs, because Goa is a very small state. If we see, if थोडी वर्सां जर हे कंटिन्यू जर जालें जाल्यार म्हाका दिसता गोवन्स एंड गोवा विल लूज इट्स आयडेंटिटी. देर विल बी नो आयडेंटिटी. आणि आज ही गजाल कॉमन जाल्या ती म्हणल्यार द बिल्डर लॉबी दॅट इज कमिंग, नॉट गोवन बिल्डर लॉबी, द लँड माफियाज एंड लँड शार्क. दीज आर बिग लँड शार्क. अवर गोवन लोकल बिल्डर्स तांकां कंपेर सुद्दां करूंक शकना. They are controlling, they will control the entire mechanism, from interfering in the panchayat level elections to getting panchayat panels in their favor, to controlling the officers of IPS, IAS cadre and getting the things the way they want to do it. And that is exactly what is happening. This is just a beginning. They have infused the money now.
Right.
This is just the beginning. Once that is stabilized, then they will start bulldozing. People, first of all, in Goa are not having proper land rights. The matter of tenancy, matter of munkarship are pending before the courts. People's houses will be bulldozed, and the chief minister and the leadership will be keep on saying, "Biupachi garaz na." They have made a lot of money. They will make hell lot of money in the future. But a common man will suffer if this thing is not stopped at this moment.
Hanuman Bab, one quick question. Was there any permission to demolish the house?
No.
No permission.
No. आम्ही आता डिसाईड केला की फाल्यां आमची 29 जुनाचेर आमची मिटींग आहा पंचायती, मंथली मिटींग आसता, बॉडी मिटींग. तेतून आमी एक रेजोल्युशन पास करतले की आमी तर पंचायतीन ताका एनओसी दिवना फॉर डेमोलिशन. कायद्या प्रमाणे तेंच्यांनी जेन्ना लिगली घर आसता, हे घर जावन आहा लिगली, एका कन्स्ट्रक्शन लायसन्स आहा, एका ऑक्युपन्सी आहा, हाऊस नंबर अलॉट केल्लो आहा, म्हणजे लिगली घर आसता. जर तर तुका डेमोलिश करपाक जाय स्वताचें घर, तर हितून परमिशन काडपाक जाय, कारण तें घर लिगली न्हू. तें परमिशन आमच्या पंचायती कडसून घेवना. म्हणून आमी एक डिसायड केला फाल्यां एक रेजोल्युशन पास करतले, आमी एक केस फायल करतले.
रायट रायट.
वन पार्ट जालो. सेकंड पार्ट आहा त्या घराक इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कनेक्शन आसलें. जेन्ना घर डेमोलिश करतना इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कनेक्शनाचे डिस्कनेक्ट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी डिपार्टमेंटान केल्ले काय ना. माझ्या नॉलेजी प्रमाणे जेईन म्हाका सांगला आमी डिस्कनेक्ट करूंक ना. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी डिपार्टमेंटाक आमी एक लेटर करतले की तुमी तेचेर एक्शन घेवची. अशें आमी 2 केस फायली करतले फाल्यां.
Mr. Reskina, what are your last words on the way forward? How do you see the situation, and what could be the course correcting points?
Now, if you go to see, the Goa police is completely politicalized. This is what I see from my experience.
Right.
And it will not change. It will become worse day by day. And there will be no this.
So there is no way out. As far as this case is concerned, do you propagate a judicial inquiry to happen? Because if this investigation is not going along the right track, what can be done to see that at least the family of this Goan family is protected?
As I have already said, there is no difference between investigation done by CID or done by police station. It is the same police force.
Right.
There will be no difference. Now, as we have suggested, for judicial inquiry is the best.
Also, overall, our police reforms are required. these transfers and all are happening just at the flick
No,
of
you're
a
very right
finger.
to mention that, because at the end of the day, this whole police reforms has been spoken about for the last 20, 25
Yes,
years.
but they're
More
not
than
doing
that.
it.
Correct.
In spite of Supreme Court direction for police reforms,
Absolutely.
nothing is being done
Correct. Correct.
because it suits the politicians.
And I think we as activists and we as concerned citizens, I think we should approach the court and get it done right now, because it's going
See,
to
right
different
now,
heights.
while this was going on, I think yesterday we received a press release from the government saying that the new draft police act is being introduced yet again. But the point here is, if we look at the history of so many draft acts that have been placed in the assembly and not passed, it's literally very, very unfortunate
Absolutely.
and even
This police
shameful.
bill is
Yes,
pending for the
police
last
bill.
40 years.
See,
I
this
think.
police bill has seen so many drafts, but it never moves from the draft stage to the actual
Assent,
stage,
yeah.
and that is where the irony is. And I think that's a very important point that has been that you raised. We've unfortunately run out of time, because this is something that can be discussed and deliberated till the cows come home, as they say. But I thank all the panelists for a very, very riveting discussion and bringing to the fore the ground reality of what is happening in most of the Goan lands, and the manner in which illegalities are being committed in a manner that is so blatant and shameful. What is also important here is to understand that when the common people of Goa are in trouble, they look forward to authorities in their village, in their taluka, in their district, and in their state to give them some kind of protection. They look at figures like the sarpanch, the mamladar, the local police officer, the deputy collector, and then higher police officers, and then of course their political MLAs and others. The point here is that gradually all over Goa, the feeling that one is getting is that the strength of the law and the strength of the powers that be is moving away from the clutches of from the power of the common people into the clutches of those who control the very elements who are paid by our taxes to serve us. Now, if the balance of power moves from the common man to the powerful person, who in turn connives with the authorities and powers that be to harm the common person who is actually paying the taxes and giving the votes, then the entire balance of power moves in a manner that is so unfair and so despicable. And that is the larger story here, in the sense that in a democracy, the power should continue to remain as much with the poor as with the rich, as much with the powerless as with the powerful. But here what is now happening is that the balance of power has not only shifted, but the pendulum has moved completely to one direction, so much so that it doesn't even swing back to the middle level where some balance is restored. And I think that is the biggest tragedy of not just the Assagao incident, but about the overall ground situation of Goa as a whole. And I think it's very, very important for the Chief Minister and the government, as well as the opposition, both sides have an equal role to play, to ensure that these kind of incidents should immediately stop, so that the common man in Goa at least has a chance to breathe, to live, and to have some faith in the system that they have voted to power. Thank you very much.